Today, we're going to go over the Project Coffee details in, well, more detail, specifically looking at the Crash Bandicoot side of things. Let's talk about it.
Whoa!
What's up guys, Canadian Guy here, and I am back with the long-awaited follow-up to my previous huge update video that I made about Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. Now, if you're looking at me and you're wondering why I'm dressed up looking like, an Irish ruffian, well, that's because I'm going to be cosplaying when I go to PAX East 2026. I'll be going for all 4 days, and during 1 or 2 of those days, I'll be cosplaying as Punch-Up from Dispatch. Additionally, on Sunday at 12:30 in the Bumblebee Theater, I'll be hosting my first ever live panel, From Pete to Spyro, the legacy of Spyro the Dragon. If you're going to PAX that weekend, then make sure to come on by and say hi, and make sure to check out the panel on Sunday. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. Today, we're going to be focusing on the Crash side of things, though a few mentions of Spyro will show up. Let's kick it off looking at something that I actually did not cover in my initial video, and it's actually on the official Crash Bandicoot website. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of crashbandicoot.com, you'll get the standard stuff, the legal jargon, the PEGI rating and the ESRB, and the developer rosters from the franchise present and in the past. We've got Vicarious Visions, Toys for Bob, and Iron Galaxy. Now I can already hear some of you furiously typing in the comments, but CGE, Iron Galaxy poured the Insane Trilogy and Crash 4 to Steam. That's why they're there. And you know what? You're right. But hold your horses, because I got a question that actually throws a wrench in that entire logic.
Where's the leak, ma'am?
Iron Galaxy did do the Steam port for the 2 mainline modern Crash games, for both Insane and It's About Time. But let's rewind a little bit. Who did the actual heavy lifting for the port of Crash 4 from consoles to PC on Battle.net in the first place? That was Hard Suit Labs. Iron Galaxy did the lateral transition from Battle.net to Steam, which is still on the same platform, which is PC, and yet Hard Suit Labs is completely missing from the developer lineup on the website. If the footer is some kind of historical log of every support studio that's worked on every modern Crash Bandicoot game, Hard Suit Labs should absolutely be credited here. So I decided to compare and contrast with our purple boy. So if you remember, Iron Galaxy didn't just port the Crash Bandicoot games to PC, but they were also the studio responsible for the PC port of the Spyro Reignited trilogy. So if Crash had all of these different games come out, and the majority of the developers are listed below, then Spyro, over on the official Spyro.com, should have Iron Galaxy sitting right there. I mean, you gotta admit, Spyro's only had 1 game in the modern era and only 1 developer, and Toys for Bob and Iron Galaxy are the only studios to have really handled the game in the modern era. So it must be there, right? Well, take a look. Absolutely 0 mention of Iron Galaxy. Just Toys for Bob and, of course, Activision. And let's take it a step further. As we know, Sanzaru Games was the studio that led the majority of development of Spyro 3, and yet Sanzaru Games is not shown up on the official footer for Spyro.com. And if you want to argue that, oh, it's been removed because Sanzaru technically went defunct not too long ago, which is very sad to hear, the Crash website still has Vicarious Visions listed, who technically no longer exists and was merged with Blizzard a few years ago. So let's assemble this logic. Iron Galaxy isn't on the Spyro site despite porting the only modern game to PC, and Hard Suit Labs isn't on the Crash site despite doing the heavy lifting of the PC port for Crash Bandicoot 4. And Iron Galaxy is there though, prominently featured next to franchise leaders like Toys for Bob and Beenox on the Crash Bandicoot website. I do not think that this is a coincidence. I think the teams that we see here are considered as the modern developers for the modern take of Crash Bandicoot. And this ties into my next point. In my previous video, I went over the fact that Iron Galaxy publicly confirmed that they have teams working on unannounced games that belong to third parties. Well, them being featured and identified as an active primary pillar of the Crash franchise is a strong argument to make that they are currently and actively involved with it. Not to mention, the websites were updated within the last month to update the copyright year to 2026. So I do believe that they are currently the team that is working on a new Crash game, at least for now. Which brings us perfectly to our next massive piece of the puzzle, the internal codename, Project Coffee. If you remember from my previous deep dive, I introduced you to a project manager at Activision named Aberechi, who I am still hoping I'm pronouncing correctly. He works specifically within the emerging franchises division. When you look at his resume, you can trace a very specific path. He worked on Tony Hawk 3+4, which we already established was Iron Galaxy's big project, and then he transitioned immediately onto something brand new under the emerging franchises banner, a little title called Project Coffee.
You been up all night? Of course I've been up all night. Not because of caffeine, it was insomnia. I couldn't stop thinking about coffee. I need a nap. Coffee time!
Now let's use some basic process of elimination here. We already know the limitation of IP for the emerging franchises group on what they can work on. They handle Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk 3+4 was just shipped, and we know that Sekiro and Guitar Hero are off the table. And remember this job listing, where they flat out state that the work involved with emerging franchises would be related to Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon? With all this evidence, Project Coffee seemingly has to either be a Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon project. With this specific employee already having worked with Iron Galaxy, it makes me lean towards Iron Galaxy being the team that's actually working on Project Coffee, especially when you tie it to their coffee post that they made on Instagram conveniently after their new project had started development. But I know what some of you might be thinking, and I can hear you in the comment section below right now. But CGE, what if Project Coffee is the internal codename for Spyro 4 and that project manager shifted to working with Toys for Bob after working with Tony Hawk 3+4? You know what? Good question. And you know what? Sure, let's say for the sake of argument, Project Coffee is Spyro. Honestly, it doesn't even matter, because even if that codename belongs to the Purple Boy, it does not change the massive corporate-wide synchronization between Iron Galaxy and Activision emerging franchises, along with Crash Bandicoot suddenly becoming active and changing his profile bio after both teams start on a brand new project. I went into more detail about all this in my previous video, but all this to say, even if Project Coffee turns out to be for Spyro, it doesn't take away from the fact that Iron Galaxy is seemingly at the helm of what I believe to be a Crash Bandicoot project. Additionally, there was a post by Iron Galaxy recently letting people know that they were doing a meeting, and the image that was used on their computers for that meeting was from Fallout New Vegas. This caused some articles to pop up saying that there was a bunch of hope for a new comeback of the game being developed by Iron Galaxy, which Iron Galaxy actually quickly shut those rumors down, explaining that the image was only used in behind-the-scenes meetings and wasn't indicative of them working on a new Fallout game. It's interesting that they shut down the rumors of Fallout, and yet nearly every single post that they make now is filled with Crash Bandicoot gifs and comments, and they're not shutting those rumors down. Interesting, huh?
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
Now, this is where the plot thickens. This is the big conflict. What exactly is Iron Galaxy making? Is it Crash Bandicoot 5? Well, let's put a pin in that because Beenox has actually joined the party. Shortly after Iron Galaxy had began work on what we are predicting to be a brand new Crash Bandicoot project, Beenox actually celebrated their anniversary. And what did they do for that anniversary? They dropped a banner showing off their history on all the different games that they worked on, including showing Crash Team Racing, which also includes a never-before-seen piece of concept art featuring Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time's design but sitting in a cart. And of course, as many people started to point it out, including in my own video where I reported it, Beenox took the banner down and never acknowledged it further and never said a word. So now we have a giant question mark sitting in the room with us. If Iron Galaxy has a game director and is seemingly leading a project, why would Beenox share an image that's never before been seen?
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
If you're unaware, the last 2 Crash games have been leaked in the exact same way. First was Crash Bandicoot 4 with the concept art on the wall. Then it was Crash Team Rumble with a random unsolicited slide during Pollyanne's presentation. And now this, look, 1 can be an accident, 2 can be a coincidence, but 3? Come on now, it's becoming intentional. Some have asked, why do they do this? Well, to simply put, it's fun for them. It's a calculated way for the developers to shake up the community without saying nor breathing a word or breaching NDA.
It's over.
But how does this all apply to Iron Galaxy? Well, let's ask the question. If Iron Galaxy is working on a Crash title, is it Crash Team Racing 2? Are they leading and Beenox is supporting? Well, no, I don't think it is. Do you really think that a support studio in this situation would go rogue and leak the concept art for the game that they aren't leading and they place it on their own anniversary banner? That would be incredibly disrespectful to Iron Galaxy if they were leading the development. Not to mention, every other Crash project that has had their art leaked specifically comes from the lead dev studios and not the support studios, just like Crash 4 wasn't leaked from Beenox. And honestly, purely from a business and experience standpoint, why wouldn't Beenox handle the CTR 2? They literally built Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, which became the fastest selling Crash game at launch since, well, ever. So why wouldn't Activision want them to make the sequel? It makes absolutely zero logical sense for Activision to demote them to being a support studio under Iron Galaxy. And finally, if Iron Galaxy were working on Crash Team Racing 2, it would have started in August 2025. It would be odd for a quote-unquote support studio to have finalized concept art in October, only 2 months after the project had started. It's not impossible, I just think it's very unlikely. So if Beenox is already directing a new Crash Team Racing, then what exactly is Iron Galaxy directing? It has to be something completely separate, right? And there is only one logical answer that actually satisfies all the evidence. It seems likely that Iron Galaxy is working on a brand new, mainline, hopefully single player, Crash Bandicoot game, which means yes, I believe the evidence strongly suggests that there's not 1, but 2 Crash Bandicoot games currently in development.
I just did something involuntary and messy.
So with all that on the table, the million-dollar question is, when are we actually going to get our hands on these games? Let's take a look at the math and historical development cycles to try and make an educated guess. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, took Toys for Bob roughly 2 years to make, give or take. If we take a look at Iron Galaxy's track record as well, it took them about 2 years to develop Tony Hawk 3+4. But we have to be completely objective here. We can't use this as a strict one-to-one comparison. Tony Hawk was a remake built on a pre-existing foundation that was laid down by Vicarious Visions and Beenox. Building a brand new mainline Crash Bandicoot game from the ground up is going to require more time in the oven.
That is raw.
That is raw, Sheriff.
I can't even separate it. It's raw. Yes. Raw! Raw!
So, what is a more realistic blueprint? So, what is a more realistic blueprint? For that, we need to take a look at the Purple Boy. Based on all the timelines, job postings, and developer movements we've tracked, and some information that I'm actually drawing from my SPYRO video, SPYRO 4 started its development cycle officially in January 2024. Factoring in the current state of the emerging franchise's pipeline, an official announcement seems incredibly likely for the second half of this year of 2026. Likely, not certain, likely. That puts SPYRO 4 on a very solid 3 the 3-ish year development cycle. That, of course, is assuming that nothing blows up, which, you know, that never happens in the gaming industry.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
But if we take that 3-year cycle as the new standard for these AAA emerging franchises titles, and we look at when Iron Galaxy and Activision's product managers started shifting into the new roles in late 2025, we can actually extrapolate a predicted timeline that would make reasonable sense. So for this section of the video, I want to postulate. Now, before I continue, read here the definition of that word. I just want to make sure that it is clear that people understand what I'm saying here and not take things out of context. Here's what I think the next few years potentially could look like. Toys for Bob's SPYRO title is announced in 2026, with the release either in late 2026 or sometime in 2027, depending on marketing. Beenox, who already has started to openly tease concept art, launches Crash Team Racing 2 in 2027. And finally, Iron Galaxy caps it off by dropping their massive single-player Crash Bandicoot 5 game in 2028. This 3-year cycle would also give emerging franchises time to be able to fill in gaps if a studio were to drop out or walk away to go work on something else. Speaking of, and this leads to another point that is important, there may be a new team that could potentially be becoming members of the emerging franchises group in the future, and that is New Radical Games. Yes, Radical Games, the team behind a lot of the post-Naughty Dog Crash Bandicoot games, have officially returned as a third party. They in fact have Crash Bandicoot littered everywhere on their pages. There's a lot more to get into here that I won't be able to fit into this video, so if you want to check out what I have to say about all of that, make sure to subscribe. Now, I also did and am doing a SPYRO equivalent of this video, and if that video is done, you can check it out right here. And if it's not done, you may want to check out this video right here. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.